My name is Melanie Donaldson. I teach at Manaugh Elementary School in Cortez, Colorado, which is on the western slope, and I teach 5th grade. We're very remote here and isolated. So the students here, I find, aren't exposed to the rest of the world, even the rest of the state, very much. So when students make a connection that takes them outside of this classroom, outside of this city, and oh my goodness, outside of the state or the country, that's exciting to me. I think it's important for our students to realize that while things are important here, and life is important here, and community is important here, that there's more than that. And there's more than that that shapes our world here as well. So when they make connections outside of here, that to me is most exciting. The budget cuts that I've experienced here haven't just been in the last 2 or 3 years. But I know you're speaking more of the recent past. But by the time we get to that recent past, in this small town, we had already lost summer school. When I first came to work here, we had summer school for elementary and I believe middle school and high school. Something very important in this community. When that was gone, there was no more money for summer school. I noticed a difference in my students. I noticed them coming in at a lower level academically. 2 years ago, we went to a 4-day school week because we couldn't afford a 5-day school week. We did it to save money. I have not found in the elementary school that has boosted our students' performance. It has not. Because we're a turnaround school, the mandates that we're trying to meet on all levels require these students pretty much to be on task for 7 hours a day. That's a long day for children. It's a long day for me. And it's hard. It's hard. We are sitting in one of the oldest buildings in Cortez. So it's uncomfortable for them. It's a longer day. And we don't even have ventilation. Ventilation is opening the window and opening the door, and that's it. There is no fan or anything. It gets pretty hot here, and I have kids that get migraines in the middle of the day because the sun comes barreling in, and these new blinds that we bought 2 years ago broke at the end of the first year because they were not stellar. And I can't even minimize the sun coming in and beating down on these kids, and they get sick. It's very uncomfortable for them in the afternoon. With the budget cuts now, we have less aides and fewer programs. We no longer have art. As we come up to yet the next budget cut threat, the last 2 years we've wondered, are we going to have PE? Are we going to have music? It's like I said again, I keep mentioning this as a small town, but it is. The western slope is a different land from the Front Range. And I would be very nervous about living in a community that could no longer even offer music to their students. And that's been a strong program throughout our schools. It's strong at high school as well. Mm-hmm. And it's something the community revolves around. So it would really change things here. In addition to that, we're on our 3rd year of a salary freeze. And we are one of the lowest paid districts in the state. So that's been very, very difficult. We've had teachers who've had to leave. We've had, I've obviously had my own personal challenges because of that. Part of the budget cuts were to our classroom budgets, to where we basically don't have one now. So initially I would make up that myself. I would buy my own supplies. However, after 3 years of a salary freeze, I can't do that anymore. I don't have the disposable income for that. I have no disposable income. I don't have the money to come up with some sort of engaging project for them. I don't even have construction paper. I don't have a budget for glue, paint brushes. So the things that normally I was doing initially when we had the recent pass, 3 years ago when it started, the budget cuts, I don't even have that now. I don't even have the luxury of trying to mediate what's going on by doing some fun project or some manipulative with paint and construction paper and glue. I don't even have that option unless I can provide it myself with my income.
Morale is low, anxiety is high, that the anxiety level is a lot higher every time budget comes up. But again, as the numbers come out, there's a big scare. Initially, you'll have teachers talking about, especially our new teachers, are they going to have a job next year? Once again, we ask ourselves, are we going to have music and PE? Is this just going to be academic 7 hours a day? These are children. This is not college. They need play. They need creativity. They need time. And it's tedious. The day is tedious for them and for me. And my students and I, I'm lucky I have 5th graders, so we can carry on a conversation. And I've asked them about it. I've asked them how they like the 4-day week. And most of them don't, because the day is so long. I mean, we have students that get on the bus in the dark, children, kindergartners. And because we do have a reservation so close, they're pretty far outside of the city. They get home at dark. I mean, really, kindergarten? But my 5th graders say, it's a long day, Miss Donaldson. It's a long day. And they're tired. My 5th graders are tired. Kindergartners are sleeping in the afternoon. I'm not sure that's the best use of our time educationally in this city. I think we can do better. My students still miss out because they have challenges they need to face that I sometimes have a hard time meeting. You know, the difference in academics. 1st grade reading at a 5th grade level, and I can't qualify them for any service at all. It's me remediating that. And it's difficult. I feel like I don't do a good job because it is just me. I could use some help with that. I'd say the quality was higher, first of all, because we didn't have such a high anxiety level and low morale throughout the building, throughout the district, throughout the city. Second of all, we had more help in the classroom, so there was more one-on-one time with students. We would do more project-related things or theme-oriented things in the classroom, and we would connect to our community. We would connect a lot to our Ute Mountain Ute Reservation, our Navajo Nation. We would connect to the Hispanic culture that we have here, and we would connect with our agricultural history that we have here, where we have ranching families that have been here. This meant a lot to students because they were engaged and it was relevant to them. And we would do things that you did in elementary school. We would take field trips. We would the 4th grade would go to Mesa Verde National Park. We don't have the money to even go there right now. We can't get a bus to go to Mesa Verde, which is probably less than, 40 miles round trip from here? A beautiful national park. We don't have museums that we can walk to here, but we can't go to Durango for the Silverton train. We used to do that on an annual basis. Things that families looked forward to. So you had parent participation in those things. We'd have parents come in and give presentations. We don't do any of that anymore. We don't do any of that anymore. I'm trying to get a field trip, one field trip this year, and I had to beg for it. It may be that my family ends up helping us try to pay for the bus to go to Durango. I mean, do you remember, anybody, don't you remember your field trips that you went on in elementary school, middle school, high school? Sure we do, especially elementary school. And I feel like I do my students a disservice every month that I'm not providing them something outside of these four walls. And I try. We try. We do walk places. But it's difficult. It's difficult. And that piece of engagement, that relevance to their lives is what's gone now. Okay. I'm having a hard time providing that with no money. No money. I know people say we don't want to throw money at education, but you need a little. You need some. I couldn't afford dry erase markers for my board. We had one school asking parents to provide a ream of copy paper because we're running out of copy paper. We used to provide over the breaks or as part of putting together something more engaging for students, we used to make copies of things because we can't afford resources, we can't afford consumables, so we make our own. We couldn't even do that this year because we didn't have copy paper. And I tell my students, why aren't we doing that, Miss Donaldson? Because I don't have the copies. I can't afford to make the copies. I feel almost silly saying that. And if I could provide it, I would never have that conversation with them. I would just buy it myself, but I can no longer do that. Some teachers can and do. It's starting to feel difficult because sometimes I feel jealous of the teachers that might be able to provide some things with their own income that I can't provide anymore. I think we see each other. We see that in each other, and we do make comparisons. We don't fight or anything like that, but you see that, and so do the students. Well, Miss So-and-so's class got to do this. How come we're not doing that? Miss So-and-so paid for that with her own money. I can't. That's a difficult position to be in when you're standing up in front of a bunch of fifth graders who come here for 7 hours a day to get their education. It's difficult. I certainly know I'm not living large. I certainly know that. I'm in my third year of a salary freeze, looking at a fourth year, and that's not just a salary freeze, that's a pay cut. And you got here by driving. We're not near any interstate. We don't have a major airport anywhere near us. So the cost of living here in terms of buying things, groceries, is high for that reason. So I'm clear on that issue that I'm not living large. I'm 52 years old and my family sends me money so I can buy food from month to month. That's how low my salary is. We qualify, many of our teachers qualify for food stamps. So I'm clear on that picture. That doesn't bother me so much. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know where people see that, but I don't need to know. I just know it's not true for me and most every teacher I know. However, the part about teachers not being professionals shouldn't be paid more. That's part of that. Let's not throw any more money at education. That part about teachers I just always put on my Facebook page, this evil teacher is, not going anywhere for spring break because she doesn't have the money to go anywhere for spring break. Of course, I'm living large off the backs of most other Americans, but that's what this evil teacher is doing. I have to use a lot of humor. We will talk amongst ourselves in the building. What is this? What is this national talk about teachers? Are you living large? Are you going to the Bahamas for spring break? No. So there's confusion. There's disillusionment. The new teachers that come into the profession, the number has dropped. In a way, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing because that means our college students get it. They get that it would be difficult to make a living as a teacher in the United States. You should know that. You should know that. I'm not saying it's not noble. I'm not saying it's not important. But I think you should know that. You have a right to know that it no longer is a sustainable living wage.